Hi, I'm Meta Spencer, and I want to introduce you to an old friend today. This is a Lieutenant, we say Lieutenant here in Canada, Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman, who's in his home in St. Louis, Missouri.
That's it.
Okay, so it's good to see you, Dave. Wonderful to see you. And I
Well, that is
made
so
you
good.
hang on to something that I want you to hold up because this was on your mantle or something, and I made you go get it. Okay, show us what you got there.
Well, we've got the Roman short sword up there,
Okay.
and this is actually a Roman helmet, and it's and then what I've got it is I've got a
Now,
kind
wait a
of
minute. That's not a real Roman helmet,
no,
is
no,
it?
it's a museum
A
quality.
replica of
Yeah,
one because it looks like made of Teflon or something.
it's been it's been given a non-rust coating. But
Uh-huh.
I've got it with I was telling you the one of the greatest honors our First Nation Aboriginal Native Americans can give is the blanket ceremony.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've had that twice.
Okay, come on, bring them over here. I want to see your blankets. Go get your blankets.
I'll go get the blankets. This one is was where the blanket ceremony was presented to me, and I got some of the tribe, the Ute tribal police. We've got the Seminole Police Guard. We've got the Choctaw Nation.
Are these badges that are
They're,
attached to
they're,
the
they're the
blanket?
actual. They're the military. They're the patches. They're uniform patches.
Are they woven into it, or
They're
is there
sewed
stick?
on. I've
They're
sewed them
sewed
on.
on. I see.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and of course
Okay. Okay.
this is the Pendleton blanket. But
Okay.
the other one, kind of fun, and uh, this is the British Columbia
Uh-huh.
Aboriginal Policing Services,
Uh-huh.
and they too give you the blanket ceremony, which is
Really?
really kind of fun. So that's
Uh-huh.
so
What,
juxtaposition.
so what happens in a blanket ceremony?
Well, they put the blanket on you, they
Yeah.
fold it over, and they hang it right, and then
Around your around your shoulders.
yeah, it goes over and then kind of
Yeah.
around a little like a sari.
And is it like
And
do they say a prayer or something?
no,
What's this?
no,
No?
never, no, I've not experienced that. It's just a simple, elegant ceremony of actually placing it on your body
Yeah.
and representing the desire for your comfort, for your safety, and the honor that they have to bestow upon you with the blanket. It's kind of neat stuff.
It's
So
very neat. Very
yeah,
lovely. Yeah. Everybody ought to have a ceremony like that now and
it
then.
is.
So,
It's a
yeah.
lot of fun.
Right.
And then you were
Okay.
asking, I try to end most of my presentations. I write on great big easels with graffiti markers, and it fills it up. And the final one, it's one that everybody always wants to have. Like they get them and I sign them for them. But it's love. Why do we do what we do? And we're motivated by love, as we love our planet, as we love our way of life, as we love our family, our children, our grandchildren.
Mhm.
Then we strive for something greater than ourselves. So the
Mhm.
things that people do that are important, nobody does it for the money. You're not doing what you do, Meta, to get rich.
Certainly not.
Your goal in life is not to be stinking filthy rich.
Absolutely.
But why do we do it? Because we truly want to make the world a better place, and we love our world, we love our people, we love our family, and we just want to make the world a better place. So that's the driving theme should through
It
all of
makes
it.
me so good whenever I have a chance to talk to you, Dave, because not
Uh,
everybody thinks that way. And I'm glad to hear you say these words because it brightens my day.
well, John 15:13, greater
Uh-huh.
love is no one than this. They give their life for their friends. But there's many ways to give your life.
Indeed.
And Mary, you have given your life to the
Well,
cause.
we all do our bit. And yeah, what
Sometimes
is
the
it?
greatest
There's a
love is
Beatles
not.
song. Well,
Uh,
we're all doing what we can, or something like
amen.
that. I can't remember.
Amen. Amen. Well, you
All
know
right.
what? You asked me what we'd like to talk about, and I know
Yeah.
people are listening and we're schmoozing. There are so
Well,
many
you
things.
know what? My assistant totally captured my attention by saying, Dave Grossman wants to talk to you about sleep deprivation. And
Yeah.
I said, really? Well,
Yeah.
that's new. And I expected you to want to talk to me about video games. I mean, what else
Yes.
would anybody in this world want to talk about but video games? But
Yeah.
here you want to talk about sleep deprivation. Well, hot diggity.
It's kind of a
What's the story,
subset
man? Are
of
you
what's
into
going on.
a new exploration of an issue or what?
Well, let me give you an angle on this.
Mhm.
The one irrefutable harm of the video games is the sleep deprivation, but it's more than that. It's the text messaging. The social media never sleeps. People are up all night long, night after night, obsessing on the social media, or the people text messaging them all night long. And we've got this culture that says your child needs to have a cell phone. No, they don't. Your kid needs to have the latest video game. No, they don't. So we've got this culture that's feeding these things. And one of the manifestations of this is a global epidemic of sleep deprivation. And just do an online search for global epidemic of sleep deprivation, and boom, it'll come right up with all kinds of information. But it's one that they don't want you to talk about. So
Who doesn't want you to talk about?
the video game industry, the television industry, the head of Netflix has said that their number one competitor is not other online providers. Their number one competitor is sleep. The corporate policy of Netflix is to steal your sleep. They don't care that it's killing you. They don't care that it's destroying your life. They don't care that it's a major factor in suicide. They don't care that it's a major factor in traffic deaths.
Now, wait a
They
minute.
don't
You
care.
know all of that? I mean, that's all. A lot of that is totally new to me. I want
Yes,
you to. You've got evidence on that.
well, of course, of course.
Okay. Well, let's hear it because
All
this is
right. Well,
interesting. I'll
here's what
tell
we
you
do.
what
Like
I
I said,
have wondered about. Maybe you can tell me straight off the top if there's any known connection to Alzheimer's.
to what? I'm sorry.
Alzheimer's.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because just do an online search of sleep deprivation and Alzheimer's, and you'll find hundreds of good, solid research making the link. And sleep deprivation is a predisposing factor, and the other factor is the mega doses of caffeine. Now, coffee and tea appear to be pretty good for us, but you need to cut it off shortly after lunch. A study just today, I'm a huge science geek. My favorite website is sciencedaily.com. I check it every day through practically every category. And just this morning, there was an article in Science Daily on how good coffee and tea are for you and how coffee and tea appear to reduce the probability of Alzheimer's. But when it gets in the way of your sleep, these mega doses of caffeine, these energy drinks, as of 5 years ago, there's been essentially a Department of Defense-wide ban in the U.S. Armed Forces on issuing energy drinks to our troops. They're poison. It's like alcohol. It's like cigarettes. You're an adult. You want to buy your own. We won't stop you. We'll never buy it for you. In an academic environment, the soldiers pounded down the most energy drinks were the ones with the worst grades. In a tactical environment, the one taking the most energy drinks were the ones most likely to not off on the job. All there is in that stuff is a mega dose of caffeine and some stuff to make you metabolize it quickly. It will
What
give
is that?
you,
Is stuff like Red Bull or what?
that's right, Red Bull
Red
and
Bull.
the Rockstar, Red Bull,
Oh,
and there's
actually,
all
I
kinds of
don't know
brands.
those things. I've just
There's
seen the
all kinds
names.
of brands.
I don't think I've ever tasted one of them.
Yeah,
Uh,
and they taste vile. I mean, they taste wretched.
but they are
Unheard of
just
to the taste.
highly caffeinated beverages. Like, what does it taste like? Ensure or some kind of drink or something?
It's kind of like a real strong Coca-Cola with a bitter aftertaste. To me,
Okay.
that's what it tastes like. But,
Okay.
it's hard to describe a taste.
And so the Army has said you can't give this to our guys anymore?
For the first 15 years of the war, we passed out energy drinks like water. They gave them us by the pallets. We passed them out to the troops. Then, as of 5 years ago, two major Department of Defense-wide studies on the energy drinks, and for all practical purpose, there's a ban on issuing. They're like alcohol. We'll never issue booze. We'll never issue cigarettes. And you're an adult. You want to buy your own. Not going to stop you. But these mega doses of caffeine are stopping us from getting deep cycle sleep. And the lack of deep cycle sleep is a key factor in Alzheimer's and dementia.
Oh, I
Is there-
wish I had known that. You know what? The reason I thought, and I have never read that, and I've always thought, I wonder if there's a connection because my dearest friend died 4 years ago. I don't know, recently. There's an anniversary
Yeah.
recent. And she was somebody who never slept. I don't
Oh,
think she slept more than about 4 hours a night. And she was kind of proud of it.
yeah,
And when and yet she got Alzheimer's toward the end.
yeah.
And really, I mean, I have some things that are slipping. I forget names a lot. And I don't remember numbers very well. And sometimes I go in the kitchen and I wonder why I came in here, you know. But I don't think it's not a serious, it's not a serious problem.
No.
But for her, it got to be a real problem.
You know,
And at the time, I was thinking, I wonder if there's any connection because she never drank enough water, for one thing. She never seemed to drink enough liquid. From my point of view, we'd be together all day long and she wouldn't be drinking anything. And then she'd be up until all night, but that's okay. I'm up till all night, but I sleep in, So I don't fall real short of sleep. And now you say there's evidence for this. How come we don't hear that?
That's a great question. Why don't we hear about that? Do an online search. Let's begin with sleep deprivation creates impaired judgment. After 18 hours without sleep, we have impaired judgment equal to 0.08 legally drunk. 24 hours without sleep, impaired judgment equal to 0.10 blood alcohol level above legally drunk. 2 nights without sleep.
Why? What? No, you're not telling me that if you don't sleep, you get alcohol in your blood.
No, but you have impaired judgment
Really?
equal to being drunk.
Really?
So let's talk about sleep deprivation and suicide. Now do an online search for sleep deprivation and suicide. And one of the best meta studies on suicide says not only is sleep deprivation a key factor in suicide, it's the most remediable factor. It's the one that if we did it's the one that we can handle, we can do something about. I tell my military and law enforcement audiences, I tell them there's nothing tough, there's nothing impressive, there's no badge of honor to being sleep deprived. Any 10-year-old kid in a slumber party can do it.
Right.
The wise thing to do is to manage your sleep like you're doing. And this idea
I try to do it. I mean, I would have to say this, that as I get older, it's harder to manage my sleep. And in fact, I seem to want to sleep a lot more. Is that normal for people when they get old?
Usually, as we get older, the research tells us we need a little less sleep. Now, I'm 65.
A little less sleep. Uh-huh.
A little less sleep.
I'm wanting, there are days when I want a lot. I'm more than one nap a day,
Here's the key. A great scientific study recently on the fitness trackers, and they track your sleep. And the one that did the best job was the Fitbit. So Fitbit brand fitness tracker, wear it on your wrist and download it. There's an app on your phone that tracks, and it'll track your sleep. So look at your total sleep and also look at your deep cycle sleep. But what the research tells us is the Fitbit fitness tracker is doing a pretty good job of measuring sleep, total sleep time. But all of the data on cycles of sleep you have to take with a grain of salt. They're not necessarily that good. They're an indicator. But what's really important is the quality of sleep and the length of sleep. Anything above 9 hours starts to be pretty pathological. And 9 hours every night is pretty dysfunctional. 8 hours is a good thing to aim for. 7 hours is pretty much a minimum. But if you're napping, we don't know how much of our time is used in naps. And so track your total sleep time with a Fitbit. It's one of the best investments you'll ever make. It's a piece of modern technology.
How does it know when I'm asleep? It's not on my head.
It knows your heart rate. So it'll tell you throughout the day what your heart rate was throughout the day. It will track your movement, so it'll track your steps up and down and your calories expended, and it will track your sleep based on movement and based on heart rate. And it will track your sleep. It's next to your skin. It stays next to your skin just like a watch. It'll track your sleep and keep track of total hours of sleep. But what's also important is quality of sleep. We are designed to sleep in the dark. So if you sleep in, that's fine, but make sure you have good curtains.
No, I
And
put
what we really
I have
recommend,
blindfolds. I have both.
good, yes. I was going to say, what we really recommend is a sleep mask. And I mean, we're issuing these to our elite spec ops. We're issuing the sleep mask to our special forces because more important than amount of sleep, it's quality of sleep. And one of the things that's happening with these kids, right? They play video games all night long. They sleep during the day and the sunlight's coming in the window and they're getting bad quality sleep. One of the things, and I think the research is there, as we get older, the body produces less and less melatonin. And we really, I think taking melatonin, just a little baby dose of melatonin before we go to bed every night, as we get older, is a pretty good move. Just a
Okay,
little.
I do this. I've been taking, I think these are, here, let me see. These are 3 milligrams. No, this is just 1 milligram. So I'm just taking 3 milligrams in all before I go
Good.
to bed.
Of melatonin. Good for you.
Yeah, that's the right amount. Yesterday, my cleaning lady was here and we talked about her sleep. And I told her she's having trouble. So I told her to take melatonin. But I had to say, it's true. I looked this up 20 years ago, but I haven't followed the research since then.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether they found, she said, well, what are the harmful side effects? And I said, at that time, they hadn't found any. Have they found any in the meantime since I looked it up?
Some people have nightmares, and the nightmares are kind of a symptom of other problems. But if you're finally getting sleep with the melatonin, and you're getting nightmares, it's not the melatonin that causes the nightmares. The melatonin is making you sleep, and then you're having vivid dreams, and there's something deeper going on here. But we do see a sizable minority, and I think the research should vary greatly. But let's call it 10%. 1 out of 10 people, maybe a little less, when they take melatonin, they get deep cycle sleep, and then they have vivid dreams, and they have bad dreams. And the issue here is not the melatonin; it's unresolved problems that you really, it's an indication that counseling is something that can't do any harm, and it could do a lot of good. And if you're taking the melatonin, you're finally getting deep sleep, you have vivid dreams. And if you're getting really troubling dreams, that's kind of an indicator that you might look at counseling. And counseling is not like, taking a drug. It's something that can't do any harm, and it might do some good. But that's the only thing I've seen with all the melatonin research really is people, they're finally getting deep sleep. And with this deep sleep comes vivid dreams, and that's troubling them. And
I don't think I have, well, I don't have nightmares. I tell
yeah,
you what I have a lot of dreams about, and they say it's clear what it's about. I'm packing to go on a trip.
yeah.
Okay, well, look, I'm 90. I'm packing.
I would tell you that you might want to, just up that dose. What you're doing would be a good dose for somebody who's 60.
Okay.
As we get older, the body keeps producing less and less melatonin, and we want another 20 years of meta. We need at least 2 more decades of you in the game. So one of the things that people,
20 years, I don't think I'm up for that. But I'll try for a couple. That's a lovely thought. But I used to 30 years ago when I was first got, or 25 or something, when I first heard about melatonin, I was taking about 10 a day. And I was falling asleep in the daytime when I didn't intend to, So I think that maybe I was taking too much of it. So I told my friend yesterday she shouldn't take 10, but if she tries 3 or 4, it'd be all right.
Yeah, you bet. And as you get older, try just bumping it up a little bit and see what that does for
All
you.
right. You
And
think I could go up
ideally,
to 10 now, huh?
Yeah. And there's really a lot of research that would tell us, don't let daytime naps get in the way of a good night's sleep. Because
Oh, you
well,
can't count the total amount per 24 hours. You even if it's broken into chunks.
there's a couple of things here. First off, a guy wrote a book recently called Two Sleeps. It's really a neat book.
Really, I
about
have not heard this. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
and if you go back through history, people woke up in the middle of the night, they had a snack, they talked, then they went back to bed.
Hmm.
And he talked about this theme that we see is kind of two sleeps: wake up in the night, and then get back to sleep. But other than that, the research kind of tells us. Now, for me, there's nothing wrong with a 30-minute nap. The Mediterranean 30-minute nap. It appears that it might be giving them a longer life cycle. It appears to be healthy. But anything more, for me, anything more than a 30-minute nap gets in the way of a good night's sleep.
Is that
And
right?
so we should try to exercise a little discipline during the day
Uh-huh.
and try to have a little better sleep at night. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, it does. Except that there hope from my point of view, there are a lot of problems in that I have arthritis and
Uh,
it hurts more. I'm fine in the daytime sitting up and working around, but I lying down I get pain,
uh,
and so the pain some wakes me up.
oh,
So,
there. Uh,
that
my wife,
I
my wife
can't do
has.
anything. I
Yeah,
take your Tylenol or something like that, but it it,
yeah.
it still happens. Yeah.
And are you able to take any codeine? The Tylenol
Oh,
3 or
I
4?
never liked to take anything stronger than that. It always, yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't like it.
You better living through pharmaceuticals. My wife is 63. She has arthritis as well, and taking a codeine 3. It's a really small dose of codeine combined with Tylenol, and it really helps her have a good quality night's sleep.
Does it last long enough to get it? See, the thing is, these
Yeah,
pills seem to last a few hours, but then I think that's when it wears off. So I get up and half the time I go read or
yeah.
something in the middle
You
of the
have to kind
night.
of see what works out for you, but to get up in the night, have another one, and then go back to sleep again.
Hmm.
So it's hard when the arthritis and the pain dynamics set in, but just, take a look at it.
But
I think,
I haven't even tried a Tylenol for many, many years because it kind of nauseated me or
yeah,
something. I didn't like it,
yeah.
but
Well,
I
let's
can
talk
check it
about
out.
that, the suicide, and worldwide, suicides have exploded. Every nation, every age group, suicides are up. They call them
How long
teenagers
how long's this trend been going on? Is it just
for
during the
several decades. For
really?
several decades, getting worse and worse. And teenagers, 10, 11, 12-year-old, teenage girls' suicide rate in America has tripled per capita in just the last decade. So what we know is that suicide and sleep deprivation are closely impaired. Sleep deprivation creates impaired judgment. It makes you stupid. You say things, you do things you will regret. And the most profound impaired judgment is suicide. You make a bad decision, never get a chance to rethink it.
Mhm,
So alcohol and suicide have always been closely related.
mhm.
Alcohol creates impaired judgment. You make a bad decision, never get a chance to rethink it. Most people have got to have profoundly impaired judgment to take their life. It's not a natural act. Every living organism will fight for its life.
Mhm.
But sleep deprivation is the most pervasive form of impaired judgment. And again, do an online search of sleep deprivation and suicide, and boom, it comes right up. It's a new factor worldwide. And I had, I was training a group of police officers, and one of them came up during the break, and he said, I had a good girl. He said she was an A student. She said, Dad, it's embarrassing. You don't have to take my cell phone every night. You can trust me. He says, so I trusted her. I let her keep her cell phone. A little while later, she took her life. He said, my little girl took her life. And we never knew the hell she was living in until we looked at the text messages on her cell phone. A night after night of ceaseless, relentless, vicious bullying coming over the cell phone, text messaging all night long. And he said, I understood my little girl was bullied to death. What I didn't understand until now She was sleep deprived and tormented and bullied to death in front of my eyes, and I let it happen. He said, I can't ignore that text message in the middle of the night. How can we expect our kids to? He said, the one thing on earth I could have done for my little girl was take her cell phone every night, let her turn off all the bad stuff in this world. So, there's a powerful relationship between sleep deprivation and traffic deaths. Now, around the world, decade after decade.
Listen, wait a minute, because I'm so puzzled and troubled by what you just said about this bullying, because, surely just taking her cell phone away is not enough. If she's being bullied in the daytime or any time,
Yes, but here's the
what in
key.
the world? Sure, when I was growing up, I don't think we had such a term. I don't remember I believe if you did a history of the word bullying, the way it's come to me now is exactly the kind of thing you're talking about, where kids in school harass each other and so on. I don't remember anybody talking about that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I don't even remember it until maybe 20 years ago.
But the factor that puts it over the top, the factor that makes the bullying deadly, is the combination with sleep deprivation. The sleep deprivation is the predisposing factor.
All right, I will certainly. I'm not going to argue with you about that. That is sure obvious. But now let's go back to what's causing this increase in bullying. I don't believe kids. When you were in high school, did you ever hear of anybody getting bullied?
Yeah.
You did?
I was a kid, and when I was a kid, we moved every 18 months. I get to a new school, and I had to fight because there was always bullies, and they wanted to inflict their will on you. And the girls were teased and tormented, and the boys were attacked, and you had to fight. And this was in the 60s and early 70s across heartland America. Bullying was the norm, and
I don't.
to the bully.
It's so, it still surprises me because I don't think I know. I can't think of a single time when anybody was made miserable that way. Girls or boys. Yeah. I just think this is a new phenomenon.
It's gotten worse and worse, without a doubt. And I know my book, Assassination Generation.
Yeah.
And we talk in the book about the link between media violence and bullying. And again, there's all of these things we're talking about. There's a huge body of research in Assassination Generation talking about the bullying and talking about how the media violence is creating this. But there's more going on. It's an interactive cycle because the sleep deprivation creates pathological thought processes like bullying. And the sleep deprivation interacts with everything else and makes it more harmful. It takes away judgment. It impairs judgment. But here's the other dynamic on sleep deprivation too. Decade after decade, around the world, we brought traffic deaths down. Airbags, seatbelts, medical technology. And now everywhere, for over a decade, traffic deaths are back up. Now, we know that alcohol and sleep deprivation are the two major factors in traffic deaths. There's a reason.
By the way, does cannabis do it? What about driving when you're high on say, weed?
I don't have any data on that. I just don't know. I think a lot of people would say that's a factor. I think that I've had people say that when they're on cannabis, they drive slower. I just don't know.
There is more sleep deprivation now. On the average, people are sleeping less. The ordinary average for the society is less than it used to be.
Absolutely. And especially.
By how much?
Well, it's a matter of degrees.
Yeah.
The ones who have the most sleep deprivation are the ones most likely to commit suicide and most likely to have traffic deaths. And so what you end up with is that minority that gets more sleep deprivation is also that chunk of our society that has more suicides and more traffic deaths. But there's a reason why truck drivers and airline pilots are required by law to get enough sleep. I teach cops across America, across Canada, and people are attacking our cops, and they defund the police movement, and they're attacking me. And I tell them, and they don't talk about my books, they don't talk about my credentials, but I tell them, look, there is a problem.
Is that your
Sleep,
book on sleep there? Hold it up if it's a sleep book.
well, Assassination Generation has a portion on sleep.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And it's really
You
where we
say
get into
you have
building.
another book on sleep?
No, I don't. There's some awful good books out there. And I think just looking at some of the research, like I said, look at sleep and suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Look at sleep and traffic deaths, and look at the studies that come to the top. And again, on suicide, one of the best meta studies on suicide says not only is sleep deprivation a key factor, but it's the most remediable factor. It's the one area we can make difference right now in the impact on suicide. So the two major killers for cops is suicide and traffic deaths. And I tell them airline pilots are required by law to get enough sleep, but cops aren't. That should enrage us. The person who decides whether or not to shoot your kid should be held to the same standard as a truck driver, an airline pilot. We should mandate sleep. And again, if these people really wanted to make a difference, here's something we can get mad about. Here's something we can all agree on. Here's something cops will tell you. They tell you. I drove home and fell asleep in the car, and the data is there that sleep deprivation greatly increases the probability of using deadly force for police officers.
No kidding. Really?
Yes. So here's something we could do something about right now.
Mm-mm.
They don't even want to talk about it. But it's something that we can find consensus on. It's something everybody can agree on. There's a lot of them. Their whole motto is burn it to the ground. Just burn it all to the ground and start, because destroy everything. When the truth is, what we got to do is improve what we have. And the major area of concern is the sleep deprivation. The video games are designed to be addictive. They put us in a flow state, which we're incapable of keeping track of time. Research tells us that video games are responsible for at least 15% of all divorces in America. Again, do an online search, video game divorce, at least 15%. And the spouse says, what's important, that game or your family? Divorce. The game's more important. So adults are being destroyed by these games. Children are being devastated.
I'm amused because I'm thinking back to a conversation I had with a bride. Actually, she's from India, about 5 years ago. And she just got married. And she then began to confide in me that she was really concerned about her new husband. But it wasn't the video games. He was up playing chess all night on the video, on the computer. I don't know whether he had a partner or there was a game that was interactive. Is there a chess game you can play with the machine or?
Sure, but there's also people. But the thing to realize is the video game never sleeps. The internet never sleeps. Sleep is a biological blind spot. Our bodies don't know how to make us get enough sleep because it always happened naturally. It got dark. There was nothing to do. They had a little sex, a little talking, and went to sleep. So sleep is a biological blind spot, and it happened naturally because it got dark. Then we invited electric lights and the television and the video game and the text messaging. And suddenly we're able to go 24, exciting, interesting, remarkable things are happening 24 hours a day. And our bodies don't know how to make us get enough sleep. And the video game industry, the cell phone industry, the television industry, they don't care that they're stealing your sleep. They flat said their corporate policy is to steal your sleep. They don't care that it's killing you.
Wait, there's about 10 years ago, I think one of my friends thought I was a little loony because, if you go around the house, I bet you go around your house at night and you count these little appliances that have a red light on them. They're all over the place. I think I counted 15 of them all over the house. And I was, I didn't like it. So, and I think some of them, there was a whole row of them, and I would have my assistant make little tinfoil covers for them.
I've got friends who put tape over them. They just put a strip of tape over them.
Yeah.
But you really, and it's most important when you sleep. But the sleep mask negates that.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
should still make it as dark as you can and combine it with the sleep mask.
Yeah.
There's a sleep mask I recommend to people. It's Amazon's first choice for sleep mask, bestseller. 57,000 reviews of the sleep mask.
Why? But I mean, is there a qualitative difference in sleep mask?
Yes.
I mean, just black is all I notice. I put mine on and everything's fine.
It's one of those things. Go online, and Amazon's a good place to go. No harm being done there to a degree, but go online and look, just research sleep masks and see the most popular ones. My grandson 2 years ago went off to college. He's heard my class. He's heard me many times. I made him promise me he would get sleep and promise me he'd wear a sleep mask.
Okay.
And my graduation present to him were two different kinds of sleep masks.
Okay.
The one creates kind of a pocket over your eyes.
Oh,
And I like that. There's not pressure on the eye.
yeah.
And it comes across here with a strap. There's another one that's Velcro. And it's a Velcro blindfold that goes all the way back and Velcro's on. That one's good too. It blocks out all light, but it makes people hot.
Oh.
And we're supposed to sleep in the cold. What I tell people is just bump the thermostat down until that becomes comfortable.
Why?
And you get a double bit of
Why are we better off being cold?
Well, the docs keep telling us that. It's in the research. I don't know exactly why, but we're supposedly better able to sleep, and we got to have blankets over us, of course. But it's a biodynamic in which if we bump that thermostat down a couple of degrees when we sleep, you can get better quality sleep.
Oh,
And that data keeps coming up over and over again.
no kidding. I don't particularly like that idea.
You don't have to do it now. If you got arthritis, the cold is our enemy. I hate the cold. I know what you mean. But the data's there to get quality sleep. One of the things we do, make it as dark as you can. One of the things we tell people is don't touch the snooze alarm. You get a 10-minute snooze, another snooze, a third snooze. You just threw away 30 minutes of your life. Those 3 snoozes, no, as far as sleep goes. The snooze alarm is an evil little button that makes you relive the worst part of every day over and over again. And this one little sleep hygiene thing is don't touch that snooze alarm. It's about self-discipline. Am I in charge of my body? Is my body in charge of me? It's the first act of every day to surrender to your body. Or it's the first act of every day to take charge of your life and roll out of bed. And when the alarm goes off.
Yes. Well, what if you don't use an alarm? And the greatest pleasure I can remember when I retired was, I don't have to ever set an alarm clock again. Well, that's not quite true. Occasionally I've had to, but I do not chronically set the alarm clock. I am so pleased that unless there's something really compelling, I don't set the alarm to wake me up. I do set an alarm to take pills at certain times a day. In fact, here's something going on. Uh-oh, this is an amber alert. You know what those are?
Yes.
You have amber alerts there?
Yes. Yeah.
Now, I don't like those. Now that interferes with people's sleep, and it really is in a very unpleasant way. And I don't think there's a thing I can do. Whatever this person is, they're probably 1,000 miles from me, or 500, and I do not have in any way a power to do anything about this.
Right.
So I don't like that.
Yeah, you can set your cell phone to tune those out. You don't have to.
Really?
You don't have to set those. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you could.
One of the things that you can do with your cell phone and your computer is to have your cell phone and computer have that orange light, the yellow light.
Yeah.
That blue light at night, blue light on your cell phone and blue light on your laptop, your computer, is a biological cue that says don't sleep. We've got to, when the sun goes down, the bright midday sun has got that blue light that says there's sunshine outside. We got to stay awake. As the sun goes down, then you get more of a yellow light. And during the night, I've got mine set up to be yellow all the time. there's something called Night Watch on your cell phone and Night Watch on that Mac, my computer, and you can set your computer to be yellow light. Adam can do it for your equipment right now, I'll bet it. And by the way, Adam's a great person. What a
I'm
great
glad
job.
you think so too, because
He is
Adam is
just
just
mature.
one of the great treasures of my life right now.
He's just an
Having this
amazing. I mean, it just
fine man in my
another
life,
moment.
and he does so many things for me, and you know, I depend on him. I just called him a little while ago complaining and swearing because my email wasn't working right. He, you know, sort of metaphorically pats me on the head and goes, "We'll handle it this afternoon, don't worry about it."
Well, I have not had the honor to do anything but email with him, but he comes across as incredibly classy and
That's
competent
right.
and mature. Just
Exactly
almost
right.
an old world calm to him. He's a good guy. So
Yes,
pass
he
on my best regards to him, please.
that's
But think
good.
about changing all of your electronics over
Yeah.
to yellow light.
I
And
went about 10 years ago. I went down and bought some yellow
yes,
goggles.
yes,
Now,
he gave it back.
you know, I do things by fits and starts. Like I'll experiment. I have tons of pills all over the house that I bought at some point, but I never use them. You know, and they're just everywhere. And then I'll go experiment with the next one. So this
Yeah.
was one of those things where I experimented with it, and I don't think I discovered that it did anything in particular, but the idea there was at night I was to put these yellow ones on, right?
Right.
And,
So now, I too had the yellow light, the glasses, and I never wore them. It was just a pain in the rear. But when you set your computer to go to yellow light, it does it forever. And from that point on, you don't need to worry about it.
uh,
And it's just a
and
matter of
it'll better because I do work at night. You know, I do a
yeah,
lot of work at night,
yeah,
and if I do the yellow light at night, that's going to be better for my sleep. Is that it?
yes, yep,
Mm,
yeah.
all right.
And that's what they will tell you that there's a reason why they put it on the computer, and there's a reason why they put it on your cell phone, because it's so much better for us in the hours before we go to sleep to have that yellow light. And I have it on all the time. I just leave it yellow all the time.
Oh,
And I've got windows, and I get outside. I get daylight when I need it. But by keeping my computer yellow all the time, it just works for me.
okay. Okay. Well, that's really good to know. I suppose mine has it too. I haven't checked it
Yeah.
out. But
One other thing on the sleep meta, and the data is there now. There's solid data. Sleep deprivation is the new factor around the world in suicides. It's a key factor in traffic deaths, but it is also a factor. The third major killer that has exploded worldwide is opiate overdoses.
really,
Why opiates? Prescription opiates have always been there. Why are they the drug of choice? Well, sleep deprivation creates chronic pain. The tendons and muscles never get a chance to fully relax. And especially lack of deep cycle sleep creates chronic pain, because it's during deep cycle sleep that those tendons and muscles really relax. And so the caffeine doses and the blue light and that dynamic of the computers and staying awake, but this sleep deprivation creates chronic pain.
okay, now
And
hold
doc,
on. Let me go back to yesterday and my friend who cleans for me. Now she said that she doesn't sleep because she has fibromyalgia. What you're saying may be the reverse.
it becomes
Her
a
fi-
cycle.
her sleep may cause of fibromyalgia. Is that possible?
Well, yes, well, the docs talk about this all the time as an interactive dynamic. The sleep deprivation creates pain, and the pain creates sleep deprivation, and it
I
just
mean,
reinforces
yeah,
itself.
for me, the arthritis, I mean, it's
Yes,
not
yes,
causing my arthritis, but the
yes.
arthritis does keep me awake. But in her case, I said yesterday, what are you talking about? What causes fibromyalgia? And she said they don't know. But she said it keeps me awake. Well, I think she says she's never slept very well.
Yeah.
Maybe her not sleeping is causing the pain if is or something.
And fibromyalgia is interesting. Some docs say it doesn't exist. Others say it does. I think if you did an online search, when we get done, I'll look. Fibromyalgia and sleep. I'll bet you'd come up with some data showing a link. I could be wrong. But the data keeps stacking up on the relation between sleep and Alzheimer's. The data is solid with sleep and suicide. It's solid with sleep and traffic deaths. And it is really building this link between opiate overdoses. Again, why prescription opiates have always been there. Why the drug of choice? Why is it more?
Is this fentanyl stuff? Would that be part of that?
Yes.
Fentanyl.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I mean, well, you've got cocaine, you've got crack, you've got marijuana, you got other drugs. Why are the opiates the drug of choice? And that ties into this theory, and I think it goes beyond a theory now. The data keeps stacking up that the sleep deprivation is a key factor in chronic pain, and that the mega doses of caffeine, the caffeine stops you from getting deep cycle sleep.
Now, when you say opiates, you're not counting marijuana.
No.
So the relationship with marijuana and sleep is different.
I don't. The research I've studied on sleep doesn't weave in marijuana at all. I don't know. There's nothing I've run into on it. It'd be worth looking up, but I don't think that it's an issue.
They sell this CBD oil
Yeah.
for pain, and I think also for sleep, don't they?
Yeah. Well,
So I bought some once for my pain, but it didn't do anything. So it was expensive, like $200-300 for a little bottle. You take the droppers, So I didn't do it very long because
I've got a doctor friend who really recommends a CBD. He's a physician in Hawaii, and he's really big on the CBD, especially for fibromyalgia, to massage in. And so some data's there. It's one of those things that can't hurt. CBD, I don't think there's been any harm represented.
Right.
And there may be some good. Now, smoking marijuana is a different deal. I think there's a deal of harm there. Does it balance the good? You can make your own decision. Mm-hmm. But the CBD so far, CBD shows us that that it can't do any harm, and it looks like it could be doing some good in a variety of different places. But stay current, keep track of the research. Marijuana medicinally may have potential. Just realize that there's a price. Secondhand smoke being picked up by other people around you. How are you getting your marijuana? And what are the side effects that are happening? You got to stay current and make a decision. Marijuana in general, I think, is more harm than good. CBD, so far, it doesn't appear to do much harm, and it may be doing a lot of good. And we keep running into that as a factor in the equation.
I want to go back to the video game thing again. I know we haven't ever worn that topic out because every time I publish something saying, and usually I'm publishing something, a book you've reviewed or Rose Eisner. There are many other people doing that kind of work. But I always get somebody who says, no, don't you understand? The literature says otherwise, that it really doesn't do any harm. And these people are making things up and stuff. And I said, I believe, if I recall, Dave Grossman said that every single mass killer that he was following had been a violent video game addict.
Everyone?
You said that, didn't you?
Yep.
Everyone.
Let's take the Parkland, Florida killer. The mass murder in the school in Parkland, Florida. This kid, I never say their names. The Prime Minister of New Zealand, when those mosque massacres happened in New Zealand, mm-hmm. The Prime Minister of New Zealand said, this man did what he did for fame. We will not give it to him. Mm-hmm. We will not say his name. We will not even give him his name. I will never say his name. And that's so brilliant.
That is brilliant.
The killer in Parkland, Florida.
She's my favorite prime minister in the world.
She's an amazing lady. I mean, my heart went to her right there. Right. He said, New Zealand will not even give him his name. Yes, finally somebody gets it. Don't turn these killers into heroes. It's so obvious.
Okay, now these people who say that the research isn't there, They say if you look at a correlation between video game playing and mass killing, where mass killing is the dependent variable, that you're not going to find the relationship. And I say, well, you wouldn't expect to, because such a small number of people in a population are ever going to be mass killers. But if you look at the other direction, that the people who are mass killers are all people who've been addicted to video games, and the rest of the population isn't necessarily,
So
then that would prove to me a very conclusive evidence. And if you say you've been following mass killers, review again, we only have 5 minutes, but review again for me what you have found about that relationship.
well, what happens is it doesn't get reported. They're not asking the question. So the Parkland, Florida killer, in all these cases, when I dig in, when I ask the cops, when I look at this stuff, when we look at all the research. So in my classes, I hold up 2 news reports that said the Parkland killer was a video gamer. He played video games 15 hours a day. It was kill, 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 15 hours a day. 2 different newspapers put it on section C and page 3, and nobody else even mentioned it. So I said, do a search. Look at the Parkland killer and see if he played video games. Oh, it's not there. But absence of proof is not proof of absence.
Yeah.
I'll show you the newspaper reporting that said he did, but nobody's talking about it. On every one of these killers, when you dig in deeper, it's there every time. It's the new factor for crimes that had never happened before in history. And it really should be a subject of great, grave concern to us. Understanding what's happening with this new factor. There have never been juveniles committing mass murder in their schools in human history, and the guns didn't change. That the new factor is the video games, and we know that. But here's the thing: my dad started smoking in 1940 when he was 5 years old. He plunked a nickel on the counter, bought a pack of Bull Durham tobacco and a rolling paper, and he started smoking. Hey, candy rots your teeth. Cigarettes are good for you. The tobacco industry convinced us cigarettes were good for us. They said, Doc smoked Camels, Dennis smoked Viceroys. Oh, Doc smoked Camels, don't do it. They're all poison. But the video game industry has vastly more money than the cigarette industry ever dreamed of. One game, Grand Theft Auto 5, one video game, made more money the year it came out than the entire global music industry. And again, that's in the book. One game made more money than every rock concert on the planet, every musician, every CD, every download on the planet. This is an
I hear you say that and I think, can't be. I've never seen one. I don't know anything about them. Nobody I know plays them. I never hear about it. But the facts are there, apparently.
It is a stunningly wealthy industry, and their entire focus is to keep selling harmful products to children, like the tobacco industry. We didn't ban tobacco. We're not going to ban video games. All we're saying is don't sell this stuff to children. And there's the industry lying and putting up bogus research. But I remember my dad, tobacco finally killed my dad, his third heart attack. But tobacco killed my dad. But I remember in the 1960s, a doctor came on TV and he said, I'm a doctor and I do not believe cigarettes cause cancer. I said, well, Dad, maybe my teacher was wrong. Maybe cigarettes aren't going to kill you. He said, that guy's a stooge. He's paid by the tobacco industry. Well, the point is, the video game industry cannot find one single board certified doctor to lie for them. Not one. They could find a doc lying for the tobacco industry. Show me one doc who'll stand and say, oh, video games are good for your kids. They should play Grand Theft Auto all night long. Find me one. There's not one. So the tobacco industry could find docs who would lie for them. The video game industry, with all their money, cannot find, to my knowledge, a single board certified medical practitioner to lie for them. So there's the truth right there. This industry will fund all kinds of bogus research and pet tame scientists on a leash and stooge researcher on a leash. But when we look at the hard data, it just keeps stacking up. It's the new
But
fact.
you're pointing to another, in a way, bigger problem, Dave. And that, as you say, the evidence is there. If you know where to look on the back page, you'll find out that this Parkland guy was big time video addict.
Yes.
But then the real question is, why isn't it on the front page where the rest of the story is told? Why is it? And this is, then it's not just about video games. Then the question is, how do the newspapers and the TVs, what determines what they put out there? Because it is so clear to me that the information that they're putting as the top story of the day is something that's so far from what we really need to know, and that what we do need to know is not appearing. And I don't know any journalist who is deliberately being crooked or sleazy or manipulate. I know some journalists, and they're nice people, and yet they don't publish the things that I think that we need to know. We don't get the information. There has to, journalism has to be curating information, picking what is important for us to know.
No.
And I think they're doing a terrible job of it, but I don't know the answer. What in the world? Because if we don't get the kind of information that we need,
No.
we made bad decisions. And I'm constantly complaining that democracy is failing because the voters are so stupid now. No, it's not a laughing matter. I'm serious.
You know the Churchill quote, though.
Really?
You know Churchill, right? Churchill
Yeah.
said, "Democracy is the worst form of government, except for all the others. It's the least worst. It's the best we got."
And then the point is, it's not only the least worst, but it is so bad that it's not good enough to let us survive. I mean, at the rate we are going, we are not going to make our climate changes in time. We are going to go down because people don't know enough or don't think enough. So I say it's that the people are stupid. They use bad judgment, but at the same time, partly it's that they're getting bad information or inadequate information.
And they're not getting enough.
If we do something about that, maybe they'll smarten up. I don't know.
I think that we will never fix anything else until we fix sleep and video games. What we're feeding our children, the sleep deprivation, impairs every other aspect of rational dynamics. The video games, the television, these are the opiate of the masses. The cell phones all night long. This is the stuff that's distracting us and preventing us from being the best we can be. So where can we find consensus to protect our children from this toxic stuff? This is something we should all be able to agree on. And if we can become rational human beings, if we can get enough sleep, if we're not feeding garbage to our children while they're little, if we're not twisting their minds when they're little, then we have a hope for the future. But as it's going right now, until we fix this one, it's going to be grim.
I am so grateful to you, Dave.
And here's one answer for you. Listen to Meta. Listen to Meta. Tune into Meta. She is a gift across the centuries. So we need her wisdom. And God bless you, Meta. You keep hanging there.
Thank you. Now put on that Roman helmet. I want to see you. Does it fit? Okay. Let's see what it's like.
We got a name for him. We call him Fred.
Does
Fred
he fit on? There you go. Okay. Terrific. Thanks so much. It's been always, as usual, fun. All right.
God bless you, Meta.
Take care.
Fun. Have fun and teach us to have fun. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.